Hi, good afternoon.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Here today with Talk with Craig and AJ. We're going to have a lot of conversations to actually cover up all the sessions that we've had with Project 3 and the future Project 3D that's taking place in 2024. One thing that's giant here, when we're looking at all the communities between Bay Village, North Ridgeville, and Garfield Heights, what's giant here is, the factor that we love doing so many conversations at different places. To be honest, I was a little bit curious about pizza today at Chatty's. That's my favorite place. Out of all the places we ever did, Chatty's was my favorite. I know you weren't there.
I was not there.
But the pizza was great, the atmosphere was great, the company was great. It was just an amazing opportunity there at Chatty's.
I'm definitely going to have to get my way over there. I'm still that Southwest Clevelander.
Gotcha. But there's so many sponsors and individuals that have been supporting us as we're supporting them, and we're all working together as we all do, as one united front all the time. And there's so many of those, and we're going to go ahead and advertise all those as we put on our final episode of the year. But today, of course, we're at Pulp. And we're happy to be here in North Olmsted at Pulp.
And healthy.
And healthy food today before the evening for fun and entertainment and excitement. But that being said, we have some great topics that we're going to be entertaining with today. I want to just go over these three topics that are so important in every community, in everybody's life, in everybody's business, in everybody's basic education, and in all athletic settings as well. But the three topics that we're going to be phasing on today, of course, the first one that we started to talk about a little bit is how people have been attempted to be harmed at athletic events. And we talked a little bit about that, even speaking about Rocky River, but we're going to talk about some other areas within Project 3. Let's look at number 2. People and organizations learning to take accountability, okay, to just make it right and keep what they have. We just talked about sometimes the fact of just saying, hey, I didn't really understand or take the time to really see or understand. Now I need to move forward to make it right. And that's giant.
It is. It's definitely huge. I mean, organizations in general, a lot of times they get stuck in their own way. They're not holding themselves accountable. They just kind of go north or south, whichever way.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we have 3. It's important in every aspect of life to rebuild what you had with loyal work. And there's so many ways that, I talk about loyal work because, let's be honest, there's so many times that just because there's a hiccup, the individual doesn't want to be loyal or stay with it and wants to bounce around or not look at the sincerity of, hey, let's work on this. It's going to take learning about communication. It's going to take some accountability. It's going to take the ableness to just be like, hey, this is what I need to do, and guess what? From there, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to rebuild because I'm doing something that I care about and I know it's important.
How about proper, hard, loyal work?
Like it.
I think those two. You add those two in there, it makes it even right.
I like it. So back to phase 1, okay? On everything that we're doing here on phase 1. Let's go back to looking at all 3 communities. The one community that, among Garfield Heights we talked about, there was a gun shooting that took place a couple years ago, and their AD, just did a fabulous job over there on taking care of that, along with administration and authorities and everybody else.
And even every community in between. I mean, they all have their own little effects like that, whether it's a parent wanting to call out a coach or saying different stuff. I mean, it's part of it as being a coach, which I know you have some good stories to say as well at that, but I mean the safety of players, the safety of coaches, the safety of the staff is huge. And even the referees. Right. I don't want to leave the refs or the umpires out because they definitely need the safety, because everyone thinks in their right mind that they're an umpire standing behind the fence instead of being out there. Right. Or they think they can make the proper plays as a coach, and you know what? They want to attempt harm, or they want to call out that harm. Instead of letting the coach, letting those umpires be umpires. they all think they're armchair quarterbacks or armchair coaches or however
Sure.
you want to say.
Sure. Well, there was a very interesting event that took place back in 2022, September 16, 2022. I remember that day very clearly.
Okay.
The factor that I'm consulting, observing individuals, observing the culture. I've been doing this for quite some time and some years in the city of North Ridgeville on campus at a North Ridgeville High School football game. And I remember that date so well because that day my life was threatened by a phone call and by other aspects as well. And it's funny. I look at life in a way that I'm a faith man,
Yes.
and the fact of the matter is, as you had fun with me as I walk in here, I remember in my church clothes. but the fact is, really seriously, I believe that God has His mission for us, and God really, He knows the time that life is over,
Yes.
and I just believe in that. But if I know that I'm doing right, I know that I'm doing something from inside, and I always continue to do it and continue to do my work no matter what. And I don't care who really wants to threaten me. There will be a time as it goes on and I see really the whole picture of as those individuals who try to interfere with scholarships, which is
Right.
wild because there's scholarships even for that community. Is that ironic? That's a whole different story and a whole different, I guess you could say, court case. But the other individual factor is the fact that, among all these individuals that were involved, it's wild and it's crazy that, they attempted to interfere with scholarships, interfere with work, interfere with me, threaten me. It was just a very, very interesting event. But you know what? I really believe that God allows these people to make mistakes,
Yes.
and to understand that they do things in harm's way, to learn from it. And that's the social emotional learning aspect. And let's get to the real situation. We're going to make sure that all those scholarships are going to happen.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. We got to help these next upcoming athletes.
Right.
And we can't let people stand in that way. But at the same time, like you said, we try to work our purpose.
Sure.
Some of us are still trying to learn our purpose, but we need to take our purpose, keep it in stride. And I know one of my biggest purposes, same as yours, helping out this next generation, helping to understand what they need to understand, not only being a sports athlete or an athlete, but understand how to be very good at education.
Sure.
Knowledge is power.
Sure.
But also help them grow as people and be the great human that they can be. But like you said, faith. It is all faith.
It's all about faith.
And when you want to have that negativity, karma's going to come back to whoever it is.
I like what you're saying, and it's true. But at the end of the day, the accountability of a person coming back and being like, you know what? This is the steps that we can take to learn that social emotional side. That is amazing. That's excellent. And that's what individuals, even if they make those mistakes, need to learn. Because then it shows that they're a real person that is a faith person and a person, in my belief, that knows how to make right, do right. And they really are working from a caring avenue, not really doing something, hey, they made a mistake, but let's fix it. And we will do that. And we're going to talk more about that in the future. But number two, we talk about just the fact that people from organizations and everybody all around knowing how to, plain and simple, understand how to take accountability. Communication is the one thing that it's so social emotional. Sometimes it's so difficult to see what's right inside here, right? Let's see what's inside here.
Not gonna find much.
But would you take that avenue to see what's inside? It's hard not just to see what's inside, but to now the person next to you, the person across, or a person that you're doing business with, a person that you give a darn. It's very simple to go ahead and know if they're lying or telling the truth. And the fact of the matter, it doesn't matter if they're lying or telling the truth. What matters is the fact that you care enough about their social emotional well-being.
It's also knowing their character as well.
Sure.
Not only accountability by them, but it's also having a good understanding of the person's character, because even some might show off that they're accountable, but
Sure.
their character will tell you something totally different as well.
Let me tell you something. The fact of the matter is, myself, having a clinical psychology background, and knowing how to observe and see, having a pretty good, what my friends like to say, a lie detector. But even that, guess what? Sometimes if you can have all that, you can understand all that. FBI, CIA, they're trained in a certain way to understand that as well. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't take the time of authenticness and sincerity
Yes.
to have empathy inside the other person, then you know what? Then you really don't care.
It's a lost cause. You don't care about them.
You don't care.
It's not being a human. It's not being a true human.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, if you have that ableness, then you know what? There are going to be plenty of moments that you come back and say, you know what? I was looking at it right here. I wasn't looking at it right here. And I'm going to take accountability that I was wrong. But can you imagine how many individuals out there in all areas and all fields that do not take the accountability to say, I was wrong? You know, I had a phone conversation with somebody.
This day and age, there's a lot of people that just don't care.
I had a phone conversation, and this was actually back in 2022 after the incident we mentioned. And the phone conversation I had with this individual, it is a great recorded conversation. Because, you know, after I had that phone conversation, I all of a sudden went to a fact. I said, you know what? This is really interesting. The fact is that you owe somebody an apology. Now, shouldn't I said that you owe somebody an apology? What's really what you just said in today's era, people won't apologize on their own.
No.
And I said that because I was like, this is so unethical. And at the same time, I knew what was really going on.
There are a lot of people that will apologize. The ones that have that good character, that right accountability. There are a lot that are me, which you and I both see daily. But you get into that, you show that you truly care.
Yes.
You start opening up people's eyes.
Absolutely.
And you see the change in them as well as yourself.
I like it, what you said. You're absolutely right, AJ.
But the truth is, you really don't. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you have or don't have, what you lack, what you have too much of. But all you need to have is faith in God, an undying passion for what you do or what you choose to do in this life, and a relentless drive and the will to do whatever it takes to be successful and whatever you put your mind to. Make sure you live in the moment and work your butt off every single day. And I hope I inspire people all around the world to just be themselves, be humble, and be grateful for all the blessings in your life. And I'm truly honored to be your MVP this year. So thank you very much.
But the fact of the matter is, you know, I just a couple days ago made a giant mistake because I didn't take the time. You know, sometimes we're so overwhelmed, and I need to apologize and say I did not have the empathy, and I did not take the time to take accountability. But that's a piece of the puzzle with so many things. So I am looking for those organizations, those educational process, you know, individuals that can go out there and take accountability. Because you know what? If you're wrong, who cares? Hey, in hitting, you could be 0 for 3, but guess what? The fourth time you're up, if you have a walk-off, you just became the hero.
Right.
Right?
I mean, if you're wrong, you gotta just admit to it when you're wrong. That's one of the hardest things
Absolutely.
for anybody, especially as men.
I agree. But it takes a strong man and a real man to
Step
be able
up
to
and
admit and
apologize.
say, I'm accountable. Now, what do I need to do?
This is where I messed up. This is how we move forward, or we just do this.
Sure. Now, let's talk about the 3 communities and the 3 schools and the 3 athletic programs and those 3 communities that are rebuilding. You know, rebuilding is loyal work. We like to talk about, you know, loyal work in every way. And you know, Bay Village has had a fall between last year, their whole year, between the spring in baseball and the fall that was nothing but championship programs in almost every sport. And now wintertime, they're working on just rebuilding what they didn't have. For example, basketball. And then they're working on it. I just cannot say enough about you know, Matt over there at the AD, the administrators over there from the top down, the community itself that's supportive, and not only that, they're willing to say, you know what, we made these mistakes in the past.
Right.
Now what we're doing right now is all about creating our future, building our future, because we care. We're going to do it in an authentic way.
Well, like you just said, it starts from the top up, it's top down, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the ADs, but you have the board that actually wanted to see this growth.
Sure.
Went to the AD. Now the AD's putting the proper coaches in there to help the community. The community's jumping on board, following around.
Sure.
And that's what it really takes. I mean, I remember being a Mid-Park kid, which is Middleburg Heights Brook Park, and that community was always there watching my siblings grow up and come through Mid-Park.
Yeah.
It's starting to get back to that, and you start seeing Berea Mid-Park having some success on all fields. Softball program last year, those girls did a great job.
Awesome.
Super proud of those girls. But I know we're talking about the Bay Area, and when I was growing up, I still remember it was probably right around your time. Because you are that much older than me. But you guys had a lot of success.
Sure.
The soccer program's been pretty successful.
For
If
years.
I remember, that's been a pretty successful program. But now it's starting to build throughout all the sports. You guys are that community is taking care of the families, the kids, keeping them in house is what you need.
Absolutely. You know, I see that Garfield Heights is starting to build, you know, Sonny for the basketball program there, lights out. Watch him in the last 5-6 years of what he's done and doing business with him, you know, on a lot of different consulting avenues. But the fact that what he's doing to build that school around the basketball program, it creates so many scholarships for you know the young and the opportunities to do basketball and track and those avenues is just awesome. And their football team, not this past season, but 2022 had a 7-3 record. That was just outstanding on what they did to rebuild. Last year was a very rebuilding year, but you know what? If they can keep consistency and step up, I see a lot of success, and I'm excited to see what they are doing in wrestling. With new coaching and a new youth program that we're going to talk about in the 3D program in January and February. It's just the growth of that wrestling is just tremendous.
It takes the families to buy in. It takes the players to buy into the coach. Those parents from those players to buy in those coaching staff, which buys into the whole program.
Sure.
And that's one thing you don't see because kind of going back to how I said earlier, everyone thinks they know what's right and what's wrong. Mm-hmm. They're not there at practice. They're not there trying to make those decisions. Are we right as coaches all the time? No, not at all. Are we right as humans all the time? No. But we try to make it right by giving the purpose that we need. And as a community, you have to give 100% into those coaches and not second guess them, not disagree with them. Oh, my kid should be playing. He's the star. This kid, this one's this. No, let them coach. Let your players prove it, and then you see the growth like what you got with that. But like you say, with every success and rebuilding, you're going to have to take 2 steps back from time to time.
And you know the amazing programs and the progress that's taken place. Garfield Heights, you know, I even helped out for 3 years ago up to last year at a small school building some athletics there to let some school, at least one school in the community, have athletics to build so they can work on their future. I gave so much money to that school. I donated so much and gave to so much to create building and foundation. And right now, the board president who's there is just an awesome man. Joe at Smart Academy is just such a great man. And another board member there, Dr. Gates. You know, I've done a lot of business with him, and he's just a great human being, great mentor, understands the process of all that. And then they are able to teach and educate, you know, the leadership there, who is really learning how there's a balance between that and how building an educational or educational and athletic program works. And it's there's a certain culture that needs to be established, and I'm glad that those two are there to help that, because every place you go starts from the bottom up. And you know what? You're going to have hiccups. And once you're willing to listen and learn and put yourself in the other person's shoes, and it's not about power, it's about giving, then guess what? You're going to see success just like that. The last topic is North Ridgeville. You know, they have had some great athletic programs, and their education are really on a mission to do a lot, but they have to get things right in the community. The fact of the matter is, I am appalled on so much sideward movement that I've seen out of all the communities we're looking at. The fact of the matter, interfering with their own kids' scholarships and other scholarships, that I'm even having to get NCAA involved in this from my connections, and I'm in disbelief. The fact that I have to put people's names down and talk about this because they haven't even, I mean, is it that sick that they haven't even apologized for that situation? And they think that they're right and they can just do it when it's all public record? So I'm in awe about all that, but guess what? I know that God will make things right. And I even had a person say, hey, I'm just praying that this is over. And they're referring to the thing in North Ridgeville on that. And they're praying because they really want people to open up and come and apologize for their mistakes. And that's okay. Now let's get the scholarships there in the hand for all those people. And the one that I just had a great conversation with, that's back on its way, and we talked about the interference. We had a great conversation talking about all that interference with everything that happened from 2022 all the way to this past couple months, is the fact that the Lorraine community, we had this long conversation 2 days ago on the interference, and we have a game plan that we are going to move forward. And Matthew J. Senior, the scholarship in his name, will be moving forward as of this upcoming month, the 2024 new year.
Perfect.
And I'm excited because we're going to get those scholarships for everybody, not just North Israel, but all the communities. We're not going to let anybody interfere through ignorance and lack of social emotional intelligence for anybody, and we'll take care of business. They have some work to do.
Do you know the difference between a good person and a nice person? My son's almost 12, and I just asked him that question while we were sitting down at lunch, and he blew my mind. He said a nice person is a people pleaser, and a nice person will make choices in the interest of making everybody happy that may not be good for them. He'll make worse choices to be popular. A good person doesn't care about being popular. They will do what they believe to be right because they care about what is good for everybody, not whether or not they are liked.
We'll talk soon. Happy New
Hey,
Year.
Happy New Year. Hopefully 2024 is very prosperous for all of us. Have safe health,
Yes.
and you guys enjoy your families.
Be safe and be accountable. All right. God bless.